Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. A few months ago, this tiny new little truck from UDIRC was released, the UCX2405. Really tiny, 2-speed, very good low speed modulation. However, not very good tires, not a really good climbing performance, low ground clearance, and not the best weight distribution. However, this tiny truck is awesome. Oil-filled shocks. Second speed is way too fast. People use it as a drifter. And in the manual of this tiny truck, there was already announced a spare parts brushless motor. So a brushless version should come. And finally, in December 24, it was released. And here it is. Finally, in early 25, it arrived here. The UDIRC UCX2405 Pro Brushless. The Snow Leopard. You can get this truck in a brushed and in a brushless version. It's not super cheap. At Banggood around 130 euros, but actually there is a code, bit cheaper, about 120. I used all my Banggood points and an allowance and paid 111 euros to Austria. That's not a lot for a brushless 4-wheel steering 2-speed truck. To Germany it would have even been cheaper because of cheaper shipping. Customers from small countries always have to pay extra. The Snow Leopard in orange, yellow or in black. 3-speed transmission. They again do this. Of course it's not 3-speed, it's a 2-speed transmission. Ready to run, 3-speed again, oil-filled shocks, that's nice, ball bearings all around, and that's it. I will take a closer look inside to check the transmission again, and this is the brushless version, so I'm super curious how this brushless motor will perform, and 4-wheel steering is super cool too. The Snow Leopard is a super beautiful cat. So let's take a look inside and see if this truck is as beautiful. So here it is, and it looks awesome. Really awesome. Tires are much bigger than in the tiny Salvator. Also, wheelbase is larger, so it's not as tiny as the Salvator is. It's a completely different truck. 4-wheel steering. Those tires feel much better than the Salvator tires. They feel quite okay. What else do we get? A charger, wheel wrench, some rings for the shocks to adjust. Manual and tools. Those tools look quite awesome for tools coming with a ready-to-run set. So that's a 1.5 millimeter and probably, I'm quite sure, a 1.3 millimeter hex. This means this truck uses hex hardware, what is super nice. Manuals. Chinese manual for the radio and English. Operating instructions. Quite nice. A scheme of the receiver ESC unit. Super nice. And what's that? Motor guide. The data of the motor. So it's 2S only, it seems. KV, where are the KV? 15.4 grams. Whole machine will, you can run it on 3S, super nice. Check this out. At least the motor. ESC, I don't know, but no KV. That's a bit strange. But really detailed and more. What's that? A ton of manuals. Operating instructions again. Battery charging. Okay. And more manuals and more manuals and more manuals. Stickers, stickers, stickers for the cage plates. Quite a lot of different stickers. You can give it your own design. Quite nice. Disclaimer, safety instructions, super important. And operating instructions. A ton of manuals, Chinese and English. And it's written you can read it without glasses or without needing a loop. That's quite nice. Troubleshooting. And exploded view of cage and the truck. So that's really a super nice manual again. Wow, 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 wow. And really, really large. So wow, thumbs up, UDIRC. That's quite cool. Transmission and accessories and spare parts. Wow. Super, super, super nice. Here it has an on-off switch. Battery probably sits here in the back. I hate this. This is on some Hobby Plus trucks. You have this kind of battery compartment, and it makes me think of the FCX24 Lemur. The Lemur. That's my Lemur, but it's modified, so it's much prettier than the original Lemur. And originally it also had the battery here on the back. What's not good for weight distribution. I highly modified this. You can check it in my video. Looks a little bit like the Lemur, doesn't it? A little bit. This looks better. And now let's try to open the battery compartment. Come on. What battery does it come with? Okay. Those look like JSTXH plugs in black. What are the balance plugs? And here's that's super nice. I love this system. Only 3 wires. You use the balance plug, of course only red and black, for powering the truck, and have your 3 wires for balancing the battery. Quite sure that's a JSTXH plug. Let's check. Yes, it is. And let's check also if it comes nicely balanced. Okay, 3.89. Come on. 3.9 and 3.89, the 2 cells, perfect, really nice. 7.8 volts, so super nice. You could drive it. I should charge it a little bit probably. Let's charge it a little bit. 350 milliamp hours. LiPo, of course, here now 2S and 0.4 amp. That's perfect. Amperage a little bit more than 1C. The radio does look quite nice. It's the same radio as in the Salvator. That's the 2-speed transmission with neutral. Don't know why they always call it 3-speed. Quite nice foam wheel. Small, one-hand driving even for my small hands is possible. Off and on, and here you have the light switch, and you have the possibility for 4-wheel steering to do front steering, rear steering, grab and 4-wheel steering. The radio does take 4 AAA batteries, so let's do this too. So 4 AAAs for the radio. Battery charged, but before we run it, or I run it, let's check it a little bit closer. First, the battery. 2S, 350 milliamp hours. That's as the UCX24 batteries do have. They do also have the same size. UCX24 maybe is a little bit larger, so you probably could use it here. The only problem I see, because a Snow Panther does only use the balance plug to be powered, where to put the normal battery receiver plug. Don't know if it would work. There's not a lot of room. Would be difficult for 3S because it's so flat. And let's check how easy it is to put it in again. I don't remember how it was. Okay, it was that way. And then you also can use your UCX24 battery. Probably there's not a lot of room. Wow. But a little bit more, so UCX24 should work too. Oh, that's nasty. I don't really like this. Also this system. Have to plug it in here. And then closing is easier if the battery is in than opening it. But what was the biggest surprise for me? Let's check the truck a little bit more. I thought it will be as tiny as the Salvator is, but the Snow Panther is much larger. The Salvator was a big surprise because it's significantly smaller than even the 24Ms, the UCX24Ms, and it's also significantly smaller than the UCX24s. And I expected the brushless version be the same size, but it's clearly larger. There is protection foil on the plates, on the panels. I have to remove this later. So this is really much larger. Wheelbase is UCX24 Chevy, exactly the same, seems to be exactly the same wheelbase as the Chevy, and really significantly larger than the first model. That's the size of UCX24, or the UCX24Ms, a little bit smaller, so it fits quite well to those. The figures inside, that's nice. Driver figures, quite large too. They are even larger than them, maybe about the 1/18 figures. I do have quite a couple of figures, driver figures for the 1/18 model. So it's not the same truck and it's much larger. What do we see in the axle? The axle is much wider than the axle of the Salvator. Wow. So a completely new truck. hopefully it will perform better. Seems to be about the same. No, even the pumpkin, it's a completely different. That's much better, a completely different truck. I hope you can see it. Maybe I should do better lighting. So that way you should be able to see it. It's a completely different axle. Even the pumpkin, which was, this bar is super sturdy but quite large in the salvator. So a completely different truck. Wow. So that's the size of the SCX24s or maybe FCX24Ms. What's not really 1/24. Those are about 1/20. Nice shocks, nice shocks. Tires seem to be vented, but no foams inside. Wheels are no beadlock wheels, unfortunately. Tires, are they glued? Yes, they are. They are glued, so they look good. But if they are glued, that's a bit. It's a pity. Tires don't seem so bad, but you can't put foams inside, and you can't use different rims. It looks awesome. Shocks feel awesome. So let's check it out, but before we check it out, let's check the weight. So weight and weight distribution, 352.6 grams overall weight, but what we can see here, only 44% to the front, 156.9 grams, and 56% to the rear, 195.7, though that's not good at all. For a crawler, perfect would be around 60-40 front rear, and the Snow Leopard does have 56% to the rear, probably or for sure because of the battery position here, and it's also not very low, so climbing performance will not be very good. I dare to say this already before testing it. Right left is quite okay, 49 to the left and 51 to the right. That's not perfect, but okay. But 56% of the weight to the rear axle. Wow. So we have to test this and probably won't see a very good performance. Okay, and now let's switch it on, or let's disassemble it first. No, let's do a run test and then disassemble it. First switch on radio. Here we have steering trim, front and rear steering trim, steering dual rate, throttle trim. Here's the button for the four-wheel steering modes, and we have throttle and steering reverse, and that's the button for the lights as it was in the salvator. And here is the first, second, neutral gear button. Okay, brushless. Front steering. Rear steering. Mode 3 is four-wheel steering. And mode 4 is grab. Four-wheel steering again. Steering angle does not seem too bad. Lights off, on, off, on. Off, on, off, on. Okay, what else before we have to start it? Guess that's it. Steering dual rate is full, 100%. So that's quite a good steering angle, isn't it? And are the servos strong? Not really. Oh, check this out. Rear steering servo, front steering servo. So those are weak. There is room for upgrading. And now, brushless. Silence, guys. I want to hear the motor sound. There's a very, very low. Can you hear it? Whining, as in the old Outrunners. So that's the third gear. That's why it's 3-speed. Okay. First gear, and it seems to be slower in reverse than in forward. But super nice slow crawl. Really slow crawl. And there seems also a bit, that's a lot of drag brake. And second gear. Wow. Wow. Way too fast, but no punch at all. Check this out. And in first gear. A bit better, but in second gear. Oh, I remember this guy had a lot of punch. Come on. Opa, that's second gear too. So that, check this out. And now check this out. Wow. Nope. No punch at all in second gear. Completely different story in the brushed version than in the tiny one. So that's a bit strange. And second gear, again, way too fast. Controller is the same. Switch it off again. I have to make a run test, but first let's try the slow crawl, how good it is in slow crawl. So I can do super slow crawl, and probably I can do this with throttle trim. Yes, I can. So that's about the slowest it can go. I think you hear the whining. And let's see if it has FOC. Yes, that's nice. It does climb the steps super slowly and does not stop. But it's not running completely smooth. Do you see this? You see it? Okay, it doesn't do it here. but that's nice. Okay, throttle trim. So it can go super slow. Not a lot of punch. So I'm curious how it will do on my hill of branches. But let's check how steep it can climb. Here, that's calibrated. That's about 45 degrees now. I will do a better test. Come on. Oh man. Okay, 45 doesn't seem to be a big problem. Let's around 50. No. Let's do a real test. 45 degrees. No problem at all. 48 degrees. Still not a big problem. 49 degrees. And it's tipping over. Come on. Come on, 49 degrees. Super slow. Climbing super slowly. It seems to be able to do 49 degrees. Come on. But with problems. And 50 degrees. No chance. Come on. No. So okay, 49 degrees, the maximum. 48 degrees, 49 degrees already difficult. Not a big surprise that it's not really good because of the weight distribution. 56% to the rear, as I've shown. But better in my opinion, or better than I thought, because such a bad weight distribution. How does it do that way? Oh. Probably we have to reduce steering dual rate. I'll try. No, this does not help. No, that's not a matter of how much you turn. It's not really running smoothly. Super cool, but yeah, motor is not running really well. There seems to be. We have to try climbing in second gear, of course. Now we are in second gear, way too fast. No, wow. In second gear, you cannot climb this step here. Wow. And now let's do super slow in second gear. Wow, motor cogging. Bad motor cogging. And way too fast. Okay, let's do a drive test with my hill of branches. So that's the hill of branches of my MCCT series. The flat side, that's quite an easy obstacle. Nearly every truck can do it easily. And the right side is the steep side. That's really, really hard. And the Snow Leopard, first gear, not super easy for it. And you can hear the motor not running super smoothly. Tires are not really good. With better tires it would for sure perform better here. So quite disappointing. For most trucks, this side, the flat side, is no problem at all and not super easy. Now second gear. And in second gear, it's in high speed, it's really hard to control. Should be easy to do for two-speed trucks like the UCX24 or the Hobby Plus, no problem at all. But hear this? Can you hear the motor cogging? And this truck is really hard to control in second gear. The UCX2405 Pro Snow Leopard. And you hear the cogging of the motor. It's nearly unbelievable. So for crawling, high speed is not useful at all. No power at all on second speed in a brushless motor. A little bit of motor whining and cogging. In second gear, even the flat side of the hill of branches is really difficult. With a little bit of speed, if you can control it, it can do it. Check this. Check my index finger. Throttle trigger. Second gear, not able to start. Now I switch back to first gear. And now I can do it. And the steep side does not tip over immediately, but you can see here tires, better tires for sure will help. Come on. Tips over again. And what's lacking here is punch. This motor doesn't have punch. Not in first gear and not at all in second gear. It's really lacking punch. You should do the hop here, but it can't do it now. Remember this. This was the only try, the only successful try. I tried forever. I have more than 20 minutes of film. I was not able to do it again in first gear. Not with front wheel steering, all wheel steering. No chance. Again, only one successful try, and in second gear, what you can see here, no chance at all, and cogging. No power and absolutely no punch. That's sad, and this truck is so fast on second gear. You should do tests outside. In the apartment it's nearly impossible, and check this. No punch at all. It's even if it's so fast, I'm not able to do a wheelie. That's super disappointing. No punch, only fast. Okay, to be honest, this was quite disappointing. By far not as good as other brushless motors, and in second gear it's extremely lacking punch. That makes me think of the very first really good one, the Komodo. Maybe some of you still know this. Super smooth, extreme slow crawl, possible much better than in this because no cogging, but it is lacking punch in my opinion, and that's sometimes quite important when doing climbs, and punch in second gear is really important to overcome some obstacles. So not really happy. Disappointing. Okay, and now let's check inside. I'm interested in this. Let's take the wheels off. Therefore 5mm nut driver is needed, and the panels, you need a 1.3mm hex driver for those screws. You get it? And I think here electric screwdriver will be very helpful because those are a lot. And then let's check the diffs and the 2-speed transmission. So I took the panels off and parts of the cage, and all those are mounted by 1.5mm by 6mm screws with a 1.3mm hex. So you need a 1.3mm driver, which does come with the truck. That's not so easy to remove. I will disassemble it more, but that's one part. And the driver figure is quite nice. Matte helmet, a little bit painted. That's only press fit in there. Tires and wheels. Tires are glued, no foams, no bead locks. So that's probably one of the first upgrades we should do. It does come with 7mm hex, so that's easy to upgrade. But M2 screws or nuts, you will need M2.5, sorry, and the shaft is 4mm. M2.5, 4mm, so you won't be able to use hexes, 7mm hex for the UCX24, which has smaller shafts, but those for the FCX24 or the Hobby Plus or the TRX4M, those should fit. Needs a lot of weight in front. Here's the motor. Hope you can see. The motor is called Monoclonius with a wolf sign. 123S, so that's nice, but this doesn't mean electronics to take 3S. And a 1212 motor with 3500 kV. The motor seems to be exactly the same size as the Micro Komodo, the Furitech Micro Komodo. A little bit different shaped. The front part is different. but it seems to be the same size. I will disassemble it more. What else here to see? I wanna switch it on now and run it a little bit to see how smooth the motor and the axles run. So, battery inside. Beware, pins are super tiny. They are 1.4mm by 6 and you can easily lose them when removing the X. I did lose one, but hope those of the UCX24 will fit. Wires for 3 servos, shifting servo and rear axle, front axle servo, and for the lights. Lights are nice here too. Let's switch it on. Okay. And now I want to check if it's cogging too without That's first gear, I guess. Yes. And now let's check if I no, it's running quite smooth now. Okay, we do this that way. So no cogging now. In first gear and in second gear. Also running completely smooth now, so maybe tires, wheels touch or something like this. Because without wheels, I have to investigate this, won't do it now, but that's a surprise now. Motor was not really running smoothly when I drove it, and now it seems independent of steering angle, completely smoothly running motor. Let's do it with the throttle trim again. So completely smooth running now, smoothly running, super slow. Full steering angle, 4-wheel steering. No problem at all. So I have to check this, if there is something, wheels, tires touching, body touching, frame, something like this, because this now can you see how slow the axles turn now? Super slow. Probably you can't see them turn. Very, very slow. Did it with throttle trim. Plastic drive shafts. And no cogging and no touching at all. What's if I, and even if I try to stop it with my hand, with my fingers, no cogging. So That's a bit strange, and let's try it in second gear, because we had a lot of cogging in second gear. Okay, in second gear there is cogging if I stop the axles with my hands. However, the problem of the non-smoothly running does not sit inside the axles. You see the missing punch? Okay. And now I'll try to disassemble it a little bit more to check the central transmission and maybe the axles, one axle, and the shocks. It's quite easy to take the cage off. It's only held here by 4 M2 screws. And okay, here cable ties for the wires for the front lights and the front servo. We'll try to keep this that way. Here we have the ESC receiver light controller unit. Again, open, not used plugs for further lights probably, as it was in the Salvator. And 1.25 millimeter plugs, so JSD GH is the original plug, or Molex, as in the Hobby Plus and the FMS FCX 24s, 20 and 18s. Here's the motor plug, the plug for the brushless motor, 3 servos for front steering, rear steering and shifting. And the axles are completely different to the axles of the Salvator, of the tiny Salvator. Hope you can see it here now again. So even pumpkin is different. And what's really good, the servos seem to be larger. Those servos are probably, maybe they are good. They do have servo savers. Check this out. Okay, maybe that's the reason why I could stop the servos, because of the servo savers, but those are wider, not tiny servos as in the SCX24, but with a width of the standard 23 millimeters of the standard micro servos. All those we use for upgrading the micro trucks, so those will fit. At least width is okay. Length could be a problem in some. We will maybe not if you don't use it with servo saver. So this looks nice and should be quite an easy upgrade, but plugs are micro plugs. Most of you will not like this, so you have to use adapters and make a wire mesh or change plugs to 3-pin JST GH. I like it because you save a lot of room with those tiny plugs, but because it's not so easy to upgrade the servos plug and play, most people probably won't like it. All this here is M2 hardware, and you will need a 1.5 millimeter hex driver to disassemble and reassemble it. Shocks should be oil filled. They are plastic, and let's check if there's oil inside. Yes, they are. There seems maybe even a bladder, so they are oil filled with O-rings. But plastic, and they work quite nicely for out of the box. Here you can open them too. There are more O-rings, and you can use those clamps that do come with the set to adjust the way the springs can move. So no complaint about the shocks. What's super nice, ball bearings. What else before I continue disassembling? It's all completely different to the salvator. So I'll try to take an Excel out now and to check it inside, and maybe even the central transmission. So okay, servo and axle mount as usual, with held by long screws, also holding the upper links as we are used in all the other tiny trucks. Here shocks again a little bit closer. They are okay. Plastic oil filled, seem to work nicely. Everything ball bearings, no dog bones, universal steering. But those bars and links are plastic and not quite, you can bend them easy. So this combined with the servo safer was probably the reason I could easily hold the steering on one side when turning. Drive shafts, plastic, also plastic joint here, no metal, and diff pumpkin held by 4 screws, the upper ones including the servo and axle mount, and here are the gears and they are greased. Check it out. And would have to take out this one too, but you can see the lower gears. So nice metal gears, ball bearings nicely greased. So really nice quality. Yeah, good. And now let's take a look to the central transmission. So here's the unit, and that's a all-in-one unit. The shifting servo is integrated, it seems, into this mount where also the RC unit sits, as in the old FCX24's Power Wagon. So, but I want to take a look inside if there are metal gears and if they are greased and if there are ball bearings, because it was quite strange in the salvator. Here you can see the servo arm and the link for 2-speed shifting. I'll try to open it and take a small look inside. Probably will not totally disassemble it. And here, central transmission. All metal, super nice. And again, I can see it, don't know if you can see it, there is no ball bearing to take this shaft. It's directly pressed into the plastic. That's a bit strange, but metal, and are they greased? Here they are also a little bit greased. Now I can't take it out because of the servo arm. And now I have to reassemble this again. Wow, check this out. Shifting mechanism. This seems really nice. Wow. Wow. Hope I'll be able to reassemble all this. Wow. Only the missing ball bearings in the end of the shafts of this transmission. That's a bit strange. Maybe you can see this here. Don't want to really take the shifting arm off, and I hope I'll be able to reassemble all this again. So reassembling was not that easy. If you should disassemble is check the arm of the shifting mechanism to get it into this position in this opening. That was quite a mess, but now it works again. So neutral had to work quite a bit. First gear, second gear, first gear neutral, okay, and yeah, what else here? I guess that's it. The ESC receiver unit I did already show, and now I'll try to reassemble it and hope that it will work again. Okay, but before I reassemble it, let's compare the micro Komodo and the monoclonius motor. So bell is same size, but mounting a micro Komodo should be, maybe it will work this. I don't want to take out this motor. It's a bit strange, it's completely open and does have this front metal part. Could work, but not sure if it would work. So reassembling was surprisingly easily. No problems here. By far most problems and difficulties I had to remount the interior and the rear light bar again. This took me more time, I guess, than mounting all this again. And now, without wheels and tires, let's check if there is any cogging. Yeah. Does not run super smooth now. Well, this, okay, there seems to be this point from, as in the Fury Tex, maybe this is the shot, and then it's running smooth again. But no problems when turning. And now I'll mount wheels and tires again, and we will see if this will run as smooth. So here it is with tires. Quite a little bit of play even in a truck without portals. But first gear. Okay, here it's a bit rough on second gear. But still, honestly, running quite smooth. So the problem are probably the closed diffs. Let's try it that way. Okay, you see. But in the manual, wow, I don't want to lose all the tiny screws for mounting the panels. So closed diffs make it move not that smooth. In the manual, in the spare part list, there are open diffs listed. But of course then it's not a crawler anymore. However, it's not a super good crawler, but if you wanna make it a basher, then this should be an option. Front and rear axle closed diffs. That's the problem. That way it's running quite smoothly. Yeah, looking good even without panels, but finally let's mount the panels. 28 tiny screws later, but at least they were no, or are no Phillips head screws, but 1.3mm hex. Thank you, thank you. So I come to the end of this video, and that's one of the very positive things of this truck. It does come with hex hardware all around. I didn't find only a single Phillips head screw. 1.5mm M2 hex hardware in the frame and in the axles, and 1.3mm hex, 1.5mm tiny screws for the cage and the panels. So that's super cool. What is also really, really good, universal steering, metal gears, also in the central transmission. So that's top for the price, and the truck looks good, and it also does run quite well. That's the thing of the locked diffs. So open diffs and a basher, this will be okay. Battery here, weight distribution, really super bad for a crawler, but I think it's impossible to mount the battery into the front. Maybe could take out the interior and mount all this stuff in center position. Wheels, tires are not good. They seem okay, but first upgrade for sure, better tires and heavy wheels, mainly in front. A little bit of press in front, this will improve the truck. Shocks, oil shocks, that's nice, plastic oil shocks, but they work really, really fine. So there's such a lot of positive in this truck. But the negative thing is it's brushless, it's awesome, but second gear is not good at all. I don't know what this second gear is for a racer. Then you need open diffs, and it's absolutely lacking punch. For a bit more than 100 bucks or 120 or whatever, 110, 130, one can't really complain. That's awesome. But is it as good as those ones? Microcommodore? No, it is not. And those newer ones, that small microcommodores, they do have punch in contrary to the larger ones. So Furytech's still better, but that's nearly the price of the whole truck here. I do not really know what to say. I would highly recommend to change the gear ratio, at least in second gear. First gear is really nice and also lacking punch a little bit. Maybe it could be even a little bit slower, even if you can go super slow if you want. And it seems to have FOC, but second gear. No, it seems to work in second gear, but you saw it. It's simply not good in second gear for crawling. You can't climb anything. And that's the big difference also to the FCX24, even if they are brushed in the FD. Check it out. So that's what I really hate. In the FCX24, second gear is super fast too, but you can use it for climbing and for jumping, overcoming obstacles, and that's difficult in the snow Leopard. Still a cool truck. I don't know, what do you think? Awesome value for the money, for sure. Really good looking, difficult to change or to upgrade inside, but easy to upgrade. Tires, wheels, shocks, even if shocks are good. And what's quite important too, servos, because those servos with servo saver are really not good for crawling. The UCX2405 Pro from UDIRC, the Snow Leopard. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.